Awards. My name is John Booten. I am the publisher of Vermont Business Magazine and your co-host for tonight's event. At this time, would everyone please stand for the singing of the national anthem? Vermont Business Magazine is very pleased to host the SBA Awards at this beautiful location, the Vermont Country Club in Waterbury. We are here to recognize the achievements of these outstanding individuals. Vermont is lucky to have their vision, their energy, and their commitment to the health and vibrancy of Vermont. I would like to recognize some very special guests with us tonight. SBA Vermont District Director Darcy Carter. Darcy is our co-host for the event tonight. Also joining us from the SBA is the SBA Regional Administrator, Wendell Davis. We will hear from these two in a few more minutes. We have also joining us Ted Brady, the Deputy Secretary of the Vermont Agency of Commerce and Community Development. Ted? Representing our congressional delegation, Chris Saunders from Senator Leahy's office. Chris? Katrina Lasaris from Senator Sanders' office. And Thea Warsberg from Congressman Welch's office. We also have with us tonight some past winners of this SBA award. They are Kathy Lesser, Healthy Living, 2010. Michael Rainville, 2017 Small Business Person of the Year. And Kelly Clements, 2015 Family-Owned Small Business of the Year. I want to thank the Small Business Administration and the Vermont office for their dedication to Vermont's small business community. The SBA is critical in the success of small businesses. Without their dedication, many Vermont businesses would have a much tougher time finding the funding to get off the ground. I would also like to thank my staff at VBM who have helped make this event such a great success, especially Denise Sorter and Katie Cattell. Now for the commercial. I would like to take a moment to recognize the companies who helped make this event possible, our sponsors. I would like to thank Bank of America Merrill Lynch. They helped build business success in Vermont on a strong foundation of community spirit, expert advice, and great analysis. Union Mutual takes great pride in their friendly and efficient level of service. They like to think of it as a service, as in the Vermont tradition, that is second to none. And VEDA, Vermont Economic Development Authority, who has been around since 1974 and has provided over $2 billion in financial assistance to Vermont businesses and farms. And VEDA has also helped sponsor this event since Vermont Business Magazine became part of it in 2002, I believe. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Darcy Carter from the SBA. Darcy.
Well, there's two speeches, so I hope I don't mix up which one I'm using. Welcome, everybody. It's such a great event. Hey, Tim. He's from Franklin County, honoring our Steve Gagne and crew. It's a great evening, and we just are so excited to be here with everybody. Small businesses, that's our middle name, of course, at SBA, and we work really hard with all of our partners, SBDC, Women's Business Center, SCORE, and Economic Development Partners, to figure out what are the barriers, what are the gaps, how can we help the businesses. So when we see that we've played just a little role in the success of some of them, we're so thrilled. And of course, we know really it's all about the entrepreneur and their personal drive, their inspiration, their courage to face the day and the challenges all the time that really makes a difference. But when we share a part of it, it's very exciting for us. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Chris. So anyway, just wanted to share a moment with you about how important it is to us and how excited we are to continue to do this work. I'd like to also thank John Booten, who I think it's been 20 years we've been together, dear. But I think you think it's 18, but you know. Anyway, it's been a great teamwork with Vermont Business Magazine, Denise and Katie, and all the VBM crew. Thank you so very much for doing this event with us for all these years. And thank you to our congressional delegation representatives, and especially to General Knight, who's come tonight. We really appreciate you finding time so much. And Ted and everybody else, so important here today. So before I get started, I wanted to introduce our regional administrator, Wendell Davis, who was on a plane at 5:30 this morning in Orlando, flew to Boston, got a car, and drove like crazy to come tonight to celebrate everything with you. So, Wendell.
Darcy, thank you for that introduction. I'm going to have to go to speech, too, because I was going to brag about how I traveled all that way to come out here for Vermont. But, you know, what a great event, incredible energy in the room, great conversation, walking around, talking with folks, and what a great venue. Can we give it an applause for the Country Club of Vermont? What a beautiful setting. You know, it's truly exciting to be here again. 10 hours ago, I was in Orlando. I was training with a lot of other federal employees. And while I like my federal friends, and they are friendly feds, right? Friendly feds. You know, I left early because they're still there for the rest of the week. I'd much rather be here with the Vermont small businesses and, you know, some amazing companies that I got to visit. And they comprise a truly vibrant entrepreneurial community. You know, I flew into Boston. I got in about 11:30. I jumped in the car and I scooted back up here. And when I checked in just shortly ago, you know, one of my first comments was, "Oh, it's good to be home." And I said, "Well, I'm from Connecticut, but it's New England. Isn't it great to be able to say New England is your home?" Although yesterday, being down in Orlando watching the Bruins game, it was a little hard walking out of that bar last night, but. You know, I recognize many of you here today from the Emerging Leaders Kickoff event that we did just a short while ago. And that room was packed just like this one. You know, entrepreneurialism is alive and well in Vermont, and that's a really cool thing. You know, this event tonight closes out our New England Small Business Week Awards events. And, you know, we've celebrated close to 50 small businesses throughout New England. And Darcy, obviously, we've saved the best for last. Is that the case? You know, I visited most of our winners over the last year and a half, and all told, I probably visited well over 200 small businesses. You know, in their stories, you know, their stories aren't a story where they open up their business on day one and they see meteoric rise in revenues thereafter. You know, I don't hear those stories very often. You know, their stories are often stories marked by struggle, you know, barely making ends meet in their early years, you know, paying their employees before they pay themselves, of maxing out credit cards and risking everything. And when I say risk everything, I'm not just talking about money. You know, if they can negotiate, you know, through those surfeit of challenges and roadblocks that are put up in front of them, a lot of which I think sometimes we put in front of them, you know, that proverbial light at the end of the tunnel can be seen. And perhaps it could be, you know, success can even be realized. And even one step further, perhaps success can be enjoyed. You know, it's often a long and arduous journey. And if there's one takeaway from tonight, you can ignore everything else I say. But there's one takeaway, you know, tonight, just reflect back on that journey. You know, relish and enjoy the moment, because we all know tomorrow morning you can be back at work, right? You know, the stories, though, of perseverance and hard work and really embracing risk, for me, it's invigorating and it keeps me going. You know, as I travel throughout New England, you know, I want everyone to realize, and I know, you know, I'm preaching to the choir a bit here today, but I want everyone to realize how important small businesses are, truly are, not only for the role that they play in our national economy, but also our local communities. And even further than that, you know, the role they play for their employees and the families of their employees. You know, there's over 30 million small businesses across our nation. You know, small businesses create they're job creators, and they create 2 out of 3 of all new jobs are created by small businesses. And a job, and this is important, stable work, you know, in a national economy that supports stable work, allows others to dream like many of you have here in this room. You know, this is an incredible time to be starting or growing your business in America. These are somewhat unprecedented times. You know, our national economy is on fire. You know, I recently heard this one statistic, and I shared it with the folks that were at the Emerging Leaders event that we held a little while back. But bear with me, it's worth repeating. You know, American Express recently finished a 2018 study of the state of women in business. And that one statistic that I absolutely love, and I think you'll agree it's worthy of a round of applause. And in 2018, women opened up 1,800 businesses on average each and every day for the entire year. That was 650,000 new business starts last year, and I think that's just an amazing number. You know, that's a record, and it's roughly double the new business starts that were created between 2012 and 2016. And I didn't mention this at the Emerging Leaders event. I dug a little bit deeper into that study, and this is really cool. Women of color drove that number, equaling roughly 50% of that overall number was what women of color. How cool is that? That's worthy of another. You know, there's still much work to do, right? You know, according to the study, the total revenue generated by those women-owned firms was $1.7 trillion. And why we love trillion. Trillion sounds great, right? It needs to be many trillion more. Our economy is a $23 trillion economy, so you can do the math. There's a tremendous gap there. But I think it's important, you know, in my view, to celebrate the successes along the way. You know, the good news for small businesses, it's expansive and broad. You know, according to the June survey, I give these stats out whenever I'm speaking, but I got to update it every month. According to the June survey of the NFIB, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, just released earlier this week, I think on Tuesday. You know, according to that survey, optimism among small business owners has surged back to historically high levels thanks to strong hiring, investment, and sales. More than 2/3 of small businesses reporting spending on capital equipment, and that's an amazing number. And 30% reported plans to invest in the next couple of months. Nearly 2/3 of the firms reported hiring or trying to hire in May. You know, according to the June ISM report, which is the Institute of Supply Management, which tracks manufacturing in America, its PMI index came in at 52.1 and has shown growth in the manufacturing sector for 30-plus straight months now. Any reading above 50 reflects growth in the manufacturing sector. The new orders index, the production index, the employment index reflected 30-plus months of growth and expansion. You know, we were told, and there was this growing consensus in our country, that manufacturing had left the shores of America, was never coming back. manufacturing is back, and it's on the rise in America, and this is remarkable. Over 500,000 manufacturing jobs have been added to our economy in the last 2 years. Consider this. Prior to that, from 2000 to 2016, America lost 5 million manufacturing jobs, 70,000 plants closed. And you can see just from those numbers, there's still much work to do. But in my view, we're amidst a comeback story, and America loves a comeback story. I'm reminded by a reply by the late President John F. Kennedy. When asked why we're going to the moon, he responded, and I love this, because it's hard. And tackling hard tasks brings out the best in America. And bringing manufacturing back, it's going to be hard. But the leadership and the policies are in place to sustain long-term growth in this sector. We've gone from an economy where folks were saying, where's the work, to one where folks are now saying, where are the workers? And that's the number one issue that I hear as I travel across New England. Where's my skilled labor? Where are the workers to fill the jobs that are out there? Over 7 million job openings still have not been filled in our national economy, another record. And the manifestation of a thriving economy is jobs. And that 3.6% unemployment rate that was just released, it's a spectacular number. We haven't seen the likes of that number since we put a man on the moon back in the late 1960s. African American unemployment is historic lows. Hispanic American unemployment, historic lows. Asian American unemployment, historic lows. Folks without a college degree, historic lows. And near and dear to my heart, folks with disabilities, historic lows. I think it's important to point out, though, whenever you look at unemployment statistics, you have to look at the participation rate also. And in the demographic of folks with disabilities, that participation rate has always been low. But it's close to 30%. That's always been kind of a barrier, ceiling for folks with disabilities. But we're close. And I know there's folks in this room, in this room here today, that are committed to breaking through that 30% ceiling. Millions of people are being lifted out of despair. There's a lot of good news in our national economy. And good news is a good thing. If you've had the opportunity to listen to my talks in the past, and I've kind of joked about, Darcy would say, if you had the misfortune of listening to some of my talks in the past, I've spoken extensively about the history of individualism and entrepreneurialism in America and how it is in the DNA of our American experience. The French historian Alexis de Tocqueville observed in the early 1800s that this notion of an American dream, and I just absolutely love this quote. He talked about the American dream as being the, quote, charm of anticipated success. And this is in the early 1800s. As he studied a fledgling America from the outside, he recognized early on that this notion of an American dream ideal, entrepreneurialism, it was real, it was tangible, and it was unique and special to America. Our winners here today, and all of the small business owners in this room, and I love the fact that we have alumni in this room. I think that's the first time I've heard that in all the awards we've done. That's really cool. You're taking part in this American dream ideal. A 200-year-old grand experiment, if you will. It is your individual vision of the American dream, and it's an important dream. There's pride. There's pride in serving your country in Afghanistan and coming back home and creating jobs, for 20-plus folks and giving back to the veteran community. And I thank you, Steve, for your service abroad and at home. Thank you, Steve. There's pride in creating a business that your family can contribute and participate in, and you can help your community clean up after a windstorm. And you can pass down that business to your next generation. I think Lisa and Jim Myers, where are you folks? I know you guys are way back there. I was looking for you earlier. Thank you for your dream. There's pride in creating a cutting-edge accounting platform that serves not only the company's clients, but also the company's employees, and is poised to take advantage of the gig economy. The son of a first-generation immigrants from Cambodia, Michael is an amazingly talented person. Thank you, Michael, for your dream. There's Michael. I was wondering where you were. The winning companies in this room have amazing stories to tell. Their individual journey to success is important. We need to listen to those journeys and not just be focused on championing their successes. Each individual dream and the journey that goes along with that dream should garner our respect, and regardless of the level of success. In closing, I challenge each one of you here today and all of our resource partners and the lenders that I was speaking with earlier, and our CDC folks and our micro lenders and our SBDC folks and our women's business centers and our SCORE folks and our VBOC partners and all of our state and federal partners here today. Continue to be worthy stewards of that dream. These individual dreams, they're important dreams on so many different levels. I thank you all, and congratulations to all our winners. Thank you. Pictures?
No, I'm going to do the awards now. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, that was a little technical sidebar, sorry. Okay, so tonight we celebrate the achievements of 7 great small businesses, small business owners: Sherpa Foods, Nectar and Root, Red Wagon Plants, Reconciled, Small Batch Organics, DJ's Tree Service, and 14th Star Brewing Company. Each company submits a narrative and financial data which must validate their staying power, growth in employees, growth in sales, profits, and net worth, innovativeness of their product or service, response to adversity, and contributions to the community. And these are all judged by outside judges. And now we'll be, can you guys hear me? Sorry. We'll begin presenting the awards, and we ask each winner to wait to come up until we call you forward. Our first award is the 2019 Micro Enterprise of the Year Award. Nurbu Sherpa, owner and founder of Sherpa Foods, specializes in making momos, a Nepalese dumpling, and momo sauce, a Himalayan-style hot sauce, all of which is made locally with fresh and natural ingredients. Raised in Nepal, Nurbu grew up in a household where his family regularly made momos from scratch. Starting a momo business seemed logical, even though he had never worked in a restaurant. He had corporate experience and thought that would translate well to entrepreneurship. Launched in 2015, Sherpa Foods started small, selling at a farmer's market, which is a key pathway, just so you know, if you want to start a business. Within a few months, a local food co-op approached him about carrying his momos and his sauce. Today, Sherpa Foods has 5 employees. It's sold in several Vermont co-ops, grocery stores, and supermarkets, and its momo sauce is distributed to 15 states. And I hear there's an expansion underway. Sherpa Foods donates a portion of its sales to the Committee on Temporary Shelter, known as COTS, and also donates meals to COTS. Nurbu co-founded a nonprofit called Empower One to help disadvantaged women and children in Nepal, as well as the Women Empowerment Soap Project to provide jobs and job training to women in Nepal to improve family income. Please join me in congratulating Nurbu Sherpa as the 2019 Vermont Micro Enterprise of the Year. Nurbu, come forward.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. And our next award is the 2019 Vermont Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Nectar and Root is a wedding floral design business in Winooski. Owner Erin Ostreicher never thought she'd be an entrepreneur, but always loved floral design since first grade. In 2010, Erin wanted to make her dream a reality, so she took a class and earned a certificate in floral design from the New York Botanical Gardens. While temporarily living back home in Connecticut, she started growing flowers and selling them at local farmers markets. One of the most unique aspects of Nectar and Root is that Erin often forages for flowers. She roams the countryside and the woods looking for local plants and flowers to create exceptional designs. Erin's work has been featured in Brides Magazine, Martha Stewart Weddings, and The Knot. Wedding couples love her work. Last year, Nectar and Root provided floral designs for 37 weddings. Erin, will you please come up and accept the Vermont Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award? We'll now present the Vermont Woman-Owned Business of the Year. Red Wagon Plants in Heinsberg is a beautiful nursery that grows and sells a variety of plants and flowers year-round. It is owned and operated by Julie Rabeau, who started the company in 2005. Oops, skipped a page. As a seasonal business, Julie grew up in a home with vegetable gardens and a greenhouse, so she said it was only natural that she would pursue gardening as a career. When it began, it consisted of 3 small greenhouses, and she sold wholesale to a select clientele, one of whom is here tonight, our former Vermont Small Business Person of the Year, Katie Lesser of Healthy Living Market and Cafe. Hello, Katie. That's a dedicated buyer, I would say. So in 2007, when Julie began retailing as well, the business really started taking off. Since then, her annual sales have increased by an average of 14% each year. Today, the business has 25 seasonal employees, 9 greenhouses, sells year-round, and offers a series of gardening workshops in a charming wood-crafted classroom inside one of her immaculate greenhouses. Julie also was competitively selected to be in the class of SBA Emerging Leaders, a 7-month strategic growth program. And in the last class session, she presented her business and brought the most healthy and vibrant tomato plants. Everyone swarmed and took them en masse, and they were out the door. I don't think they confused them with another plant either, so that was good. Please join me in congratulating Julie Rabeau as the Woman-Owned Business of the Year. Our next award is Vermont Minority-Owned Business of the Year. Reconciled is a cloud-based bookkeeping company headquartered in Burlington, owned by Michael Lee. Michael is the son of Cambodian immigrants and says entrepreneurship is deeply rooted in his family. Michael thought of starting Reconciled while working as an accounting consultant. He felt many clients had poor bookkeeping records, and rather than constantly asking them for more information and correcting it, he thought he could serve them better by forming a bookkeeping company, and he does this online at getreconciled.co. In 2015, Michael launched Reconciled with only 2 people. Less than 4 years later, he has 20 employees, more than 100 clients, and annual sales in excess of $1 million. Michael has opened a second office in Charlottesville, North Carolina. Michael offers discounted services to Vermont nonprofits, and he places priority on hiring Vermont-based employees, and he provides flexible work hours, telecommuting, and many employee benefits. In addition, Michael has co-founded a second company called Humanly, which provides HR services, and I'm guessing it's not going to be the last business that you start. So keep your eye on Michael. Please join me in congratulating Michael Lee as the Vermont Minority-Owned Business of the Year. Our next award is Vermont Exporter of the Year. Small Batch Organics, located in Manchester Center, makes an especially popular granola that is offered in 11 different flavors. It's owned by Lindsay Martin, who shipped her first pallet of granola to China in the fall of 2015 after only, I think, being 5 months in business. And she now has 13 employees, occupies a 13,000 square foot facility. The products are all organic and gluten-free. The company's largest export markets are Canada, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. She even has more countries on the horizon, I hear. Small Batch Organics is working on a new package so that when it exports products, it has a longer shelf life. Small Batch also has substantial national reach. It is sold in more than 1,000 grocery stores throughout the U.S. This is the fourth successful business started by Lindsay. Please join me in congratulating Lindsay on winning the Vermont Exporter of the Year Award. And our next award is Family-Owned Business of the Year. DJ's Tree Service in Colchester is one of the largest professional tree care, removal, and restoration services in northern Vermont. Jim Myers and his then business partner, Dean Bumstead, started the business in the 1970s with only a truck, a chainsaw, and a few basic hand tools. They were groundkeepers at University of Vermont, and they were often performing tree service as side work when they decided to strike out on their own. Today, the business is a multi-million-dollar enterprise occupying a 10,000 square foot facility. DJ's Tree Service has 16 employees, a large fleet of vehicles, and heavy equipment. It is a true family enterprise with all three of the Myers children involved, Bobby, Jacob, and Jessica, and a little grandson who's here tonight. As the company continues to innovate, they recently acquired a large wood recycler machine called the Bandit Beast. The Beast is able to devour large stumps and other wood debris, including construction wood, and turn it into high-quality mulch. For their 40 years of success in the tree service industry, and also their success in running a happy family business where they also vacation together, which is very impressive, please join me in congratulating Jim and Lisa Myers and their family on winning the Vermont Family-Owned Business of the Year.
Who's holding this?
I guess I will, because I'm going to sign the check.
Congratulations.
Now if we could have the bike. If we could have the three congressional delegates come up, delegation, say a few words. You first.
Good evening. My name's Chris Saunders. I work for Senator Patrick Leahy. And in talking with the senator about what he wanted to share this evening, he asked me to think about a couple things. He said, first and foremost, will you go and say thank you to our businesses that are being recognized tonight? Thank you for taking a chance and a risk and going into business and doing great things for Vermont. You know, Wendell talked a lot about the statistics at the national level of business growth, and those numbers are really important. But, you know, Senator Leahy said, as important as those numbers, why these businesses are being recognized, it's the stories behind them and what they mean for our Vermont communities. You know, what you all do, you feed us, right? Your momos and your granola, you feed us. Your beer lifts our spirits, right? You are there for some of the most important events in people's lives, getting married. And, for our serial entrepreneurs, you serve as an inspiration to other businesses in Vermont and your fellow Vermonters. So that was the first thing you wanted me to say. He said, second, please say, keep up the good work, because we need you. All the categories being represented this evening, Senator Leahy sees as the future of Vermont. We are not going to be a strong state economically unless we have more businesses like you. He gets approached on a daily basis from other Vermonters saying, we need help, we need resources, we need connections. And so he spends a lot of time thinking about the ecosystems and supports that are out there for business. You all serve as a beacon for your fellow businesses and offer a roadmap of how to be successful. So keep up the good work and keep growing. Lastly, the Senator wanted me to say a personal congratulations to Steve and Andrea from 14th Star. You've been great friends to him over many years now. You have been counsel when he's been asking questions about the future of the beer industry. You have helped him at what is the hardest event that I've ever had to staff, the Vermont Brewers Festival. You helped him guide him through all the best beer tents, so thank you for that. You have supported the Taste of Vermont, which is an event he hosts in Washington, D.C. to highlight Vermont businesses and growing companies. And you do so many other things for our state, whether it's raising money or you name it. You guys give back tremendously. So thank you. Congratulations. We have a wonderful slate of businesses being recognized, and Senator Leahy offers his deep congratulations to you all.
So hi, everyone. My name's Katarina. I work for Senator Bernie Sanders. And I wanted to start off by saying, at least the new grandbaby is also following the semi-formal attire required for tonight. But thank you for inviting Senator Sanders to tonight's event. I know he's sorry that he cannot be here, and he extends his appreciation to the VBM and SBA. And congratulations to all of the awardees. Bernie would be quick to tell anyone that a true democracy is of the people and for the people, and our government was created to protect and support Americans. What the SBA protects and supports is innovation, economic growth, and opportunity, and often works with individuals and celebrates their successful entrepreneurial ideas. Don't get me wrong, I know that success can look many different ways, and that it is also not to say that today's awardees and individuals who have all been nominated were not stressed and struggling. Yet, Vermont's SBA offers an opportunity to individuals to build a strong business with guidance, support, and alongside people who have done this before. Each of your businesses took dedication, determination, and a ton of time. And that is why it makes sense that small businesses are the backbone of Vermont's economy. Reading, eating, planting, drinking my way through the awardee list, each business is so clearly a success. Red Wagon Plants has expanded to 25 employees and offers a wide variety of workshops. Reconciled has expanded tenfold in 5 years. Small Batch Organics is in 1,000 grocery stores. And many of the foundational concepts of each business seem to be embedded in your lives, your families, and your family background. Nectar and Root, your hobby since first grade. Sherpa Food, a connection to Nepal. DJ's Trees has the whole family involved. And of course, 14th Star Brewing Company is dedicated to not only making award-winning beer, but honoring your military service, your employees' military service, and for those who have and continue to serve our country. Thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Momo sauce was a highly traded item in our office's Yankee Swap this year. We have a coworker that literally pours this stuff. I think she eats more of it for her lunch than actual, anything she's dipping in it. And it went home in Jane Sanders' possession. So, on behalf of Senator Sanders, congratulations to Steve, Nurbu, Aaron, Julie, Michael, Lindsay, and the Myers family, and all of your support systems, including the SBA. I'm sure today is just one celebration in many to come for you all. And I have letters from the senator, so I'll be, running behind you at the end of the event.
Good evening, everyone. You'll have to excuse me. I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of the Congressman tonight. He wanted me to pass along his regrets for not being able to join you all, as well as his congratulations to all of the accomplished small businesses and who we are honoring here tonight. The Congressman also asked that I take a moment to recognize Darcy Carter and the rest of SBA staff who work so hard to support Vermont's small businesses. So thank you. Our small businesses are the backbone of our state and a key part of what makes it such a unique and special place. Each of the businesses being honored here tonight create crucial family-supporting jobs and help grow our economy. Vermonters, including our small business owners, also have a long history of helping others in times of need. Steve and 14th Star Brewing Company are the embodiment of this. Not only has Steve done an incredible job of growing his company, but his commitment to his community, and especially veterans, is truly remarkable and something we should all aspire to. When small businesses prosper, Vermont prospers. By honoring each of today's award winners, we are highlighting how businesses can be and are successful in Vermont. Thank you to each of the award winners for being such outstanding role models. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to play a short video focusing on Steve Gagner and the 14th Star Brewery.
My name is Steve Gagne, and I'm the co-founder of 14th Star Brewing Company.
Hi, I'm Matt Kahaya. I'm a founder of 14th Star Brewing Company.
I was born in Northwest Vermont, and for the last 24 years I've been an Army officer. And
Steve and I, best friends since about 2001. We've deployed twice together.
Well, Matt and I had been homebrewers for a long time. When we deployed to Afghanistan in 2010, we lived at a patrol base that had no power, no running water.
So when we weren't doing operations, we had a lot of downtime to discuss what we wanted to do after the military life and when we got back.
We didn't want to sit on the couch. We wanted to do something that really made an impact and kind of left a legacy in our community. And so we came up with this idea of starting a brewery. And
we started writing in a notebook our business plan, and when we got back, we decided to go for it.
With a small loan against my 401k, we got the initial gear to start the brewery and immediately couldn't keep up with demand. And then when we decided to fully expand, we turned to a local lender in the SBA.
We take a lot of pride in giving back.
So we like to say that 14th Star builds communities. We just happen to brew world-class beer. We knew from the start that it was going to be more than just about the beer, and it was going to be more than the dollars and cents of the business. While those things are important, certainly, we wanted to ensure that the brew is used as a mechanism to make our communities a better place. Not just our local community, but also our veteran communities.
1, 2, 3, set.
We're currently at our fledgling distillery. So the brewery is a for-profit business, but we realized that so many of the lessons that we had taken from our time in the service, we were using to help our business. Military service actually lent itself very well to starting your own business. We started the distillery solely for the reason of raising money for a nonprofit to bring veterans up here to Vermont, to really demystify the process of entrepreneurship, introduce them to the SBA, to SCORE, to the SBDCs. A lot of times commercial industry tells them that they don't have marketable skills, and they may not have marketable skills for big industry, but they certainly have terrifically valuable skills in starting and running their own small business. And so the SBA has been wonderful. There are several programs that are geared specifically for veterans, and we encourage the veterans that we work with, that we coach on entrepreneurship, to seek out those programs specifically when we link them up with the SBA, because it really is a fantastic benefit for their time in the service.
And now I would like to introduce Ted Brady, an old fishing buddy of mine who, thank God, does a lot better in the Economic Development Office than he does in the middle of the Willoughby River.
I've never seen John Booten catch a fish. Well, thank you. And on behalf of Governor Scott, congratulations to Steve and to Matt, to Steve's family. Congratulations to all the winners today. It's really important to note something. Vermont has 80,000 small businesses, nearly 80,000 small businesses. And when you give an award to somebody, I think it's important to realize the competition you beat and realize that you're in the company of folks that rose to the top of those 80,000 people. And in some cases, it's because they figured out how to do business and make a great living and contribute to their community. And others, it's because they've figured out a way to contribute to their community. And for others, they're doing business a different way. But, to quote our president, Mr. Regional Administrator, it's kind of bigly, It's a big deal. 80,000 businesses, 250,000 employees in the state of Vermont, people that work for a living, right? Most of those people, about 60% of them, work for businesses like the ones we're celebrating tonight. So I think that's just take a moment and reflect on that, winners, especially you, Steve. You're the best business in the state of Vermont. We are proud to send you to D.C. and tell the world your story. I should share a Governor Scott story, seeing how I represent him tonight. The governor goes to New England Governors Association meetings. I think the general's probably been to one or two of those by now, too, where you go with the rest of the New England governors and sometimes also the premiers of the northern states. And the governor was getting in a car, and for these things they actually give the governor a license plate for each of these, and each premier a license plate to go on their security car and stuff. And the governor's, of course, was what number, Steve? 14. And the governor said, "Isn't that nice? They realized that my racing car number was 14." And quickly somebody said, "Or we're the 14th state." And he said, "It's because my number's 14." Steve, when I pick up your beer, which I do occasionally, what's amazing is that I think of 14th Star, but I also think of St. Albans. And this sense of place that you have developed in your product, I also think of men and women that serve our country. And what an amazing thing to give to somebody, a product that they enjoy and are happy to pay a premium for, not just because of the way it tastes, but because of the experience you have when you drink that drink. Because you feel good about what you're drinking, because you think about St. Albans, you think about the redevelopment of that city, you think about the fact that you're part of that redevelopment, you think about the men and women that you're supporting through what you give back. As I said, there is absolutely no one better to represent Vermont. And not only have you beat out 80,000 businesses, but Darcy may have said this before, the SBA, Small Business Administration, really here in Vermont, it's the Superior Beer Association. The SBA has financed a lot of brewers here in Vermont. So you beat out your competition. Yeah. Let me close it with just an acknowledgement of the troubles you all face right now. The regional administrator mentioned that we're in a red-hot economy. We are in the best it's been in a long time, but not in all of Vermont, right? And I think it's really important to acknowledge that, and to be acknowledging businesses in Manchester and St. Albans and other places in the state that aren't as red-hot as the rest of the country is incredible. It's also those places that are red-hot, the people problem is a real problem. And I leave it with this. The governor's charged us at the Agency of Commerce with one task: fix everything that's wrong in Vermont. I'm only partially kidding. You've heard him say this before. What Vermont needs, he was on the campaign trail and I heard somebody say this, what Vermont needs is not more taxes, it needs more taxpayers. Right? And that's what a statement, because it's also about workers. And that's why right now the Agency of Commerce, we're doing everything we can to, one, make sure every Vermonter has a chance to pursue a career here in Vermont, whether it be by going to tech school, whether it be by going to college, whether it be by getting a certificate. We're also telling the world your story, because guess what? When people from outside of Vermont think of Vermont, they don't think of this room. They don't think of the people we're celebrating tonight. They think it's a great place to visit, but you can't make a living there. That is blatantly wrong. And you are the story we're telling to the entire world right now. We got 2 billion impressions on a recent economic development marketing piece we did about their effort to bring new people to Vermont to work for companies like yours. 2 billion people are hearing your story instead of the story that they think of when they think of Vermont. So I leave it there and say the governor couldn't be prouder as a small businessman himself of the risk you've all taken. And thank you for doing so. John, I think it's back to you.
Thank you, Ted. Now it's my honor and pleasure to introduce our guest speaker tonight, General Greg Knight, Vermont National Guard Adjutant General, who would like to say a few words concerning Steve.
Thanks for having me here. Everybody hear me okay? Yes. Anybody here between the ages of 17 and 35? How about those Myers boys? Okay, that's it. Do you come to Huntington? Because I got some work. Darcy, thank you for having me. Wendell, there you are. Thank you. Ted, we need to talk because I've got a deal for you as well. Because you need people in Vermont and I need people in the Vermont Guard. First and foremost, I want to thank all of our business owners for keeping Vermont and making America the place that we live. So thank you. You should probably give yourselves a hand. In my new role, I can't advocate or speak as a sponsor, but I would just tell you, I may or may not, I can neither confirm or deny that I shop at small businesses. I think that might cover it. I've known Stephen for 20-ish years, probably. I've known Gaston for even longer. Yeah, just an amazing family. But Stephen's one of those folks, as is Gaston. They're both very shy, not very outgoing, very reluctant to speak their mind. And I've known Stephen for that long in multiple roles. But he's one of those folks, when you meet them, and we all have them in our lives, you just say, I like this person. You just know. It's intuitive. It's like, okay, I'm good here. And our careers have kind of consistently crossed paths since the first time we met. So Stephen was a platoon leader when I was a armor company commander in Enosburg. And we parted briefly. He went to Najaf, Iraq as a rifle platoon leader. And I went to Ramadi, Iraq as a battalion battle captain running the operations center. Fortunately, we all came back safe, and, that's what that was. And it wasn't very long thereafter we ended up in Rutland together. And if you're in the Vermont National Guard, and this is not a statement on Rutland, when you go to Rutland, it's, how do you get to Rutland? I live in Huntington. Hey, guess what? Welcome back from deployment. We need you to go to Rutland. How do I do that? Stephen lives in St. Albans. Hey, Stephen, welcome back. You're going to Rutland. Okay. So Stephen ended up being my logistics officer. And one of his qualities, as evidenced by this evening, is his work ethic and his dedication to what it is that he does. And that has always, to me, set you apart, that and our similar sense of humor. But that's the thing that I admire the most about you, is just this can-do spirit, and he just never quits. And I think that's probably true for a lot of you in this room. So again, thank you for that. So here we are again. He is now my Mountain Warfare School commander. In addition, and oh, by the way, this is the only Army Mountain Warfare School in the United States Army. So we'll go back a little bit. Steve had come back from deployment and said, hey, I'm going to try this thing. And I just knew. I was like, go for it. There's nothing I can tell him that he's going to do this. I already know Stephen is going to do this. Now, could I have envisioned that it went from this hole in the wall, literally, like one bay of a garage? I worked in the St. Albans Armory, and once he started making beer, we waited for the magical code words of "the barrel is ready." And I would just like to say, I heard what you said here. I'm going to take a little bit of credit here as being a foundation for your success in making sure that you had to increase supply to meet demand. So that anybody could have looked at what this family has done. Andrea, what are you kidding me? We know how this works. That this family and Stephen could have taken it from that hole in the wall and made it to what it is now. 16,000 square feet? Yeah. Don't correct me. But in addition to that is the give back to the community, the philanthropic nature of the business. And not to mention, it's just good beer. I mean, that's my thing. I'm just incredibly impressed, and always have been, by you. You make me proud to know you. I'm incredibly happy for you and your family, and certainly incredibly pleased to see where you've taken this business and what you do for our state and continue to do for our nation. So congratulations.
We're going to have you together.
Just have you up here.
So I'm going to be perfectly honest. I came home from work today, changed out of my uniform, took a shower, got dressed, wrote this speech, haven't looked at it since. And I wrote it in the time it took for my son Marcus to get off the bus, get changed, and get ready to go. So I may only refer to it tangentially. Before I say anything and any thank yous, I would like Matt Kaya to stand up. So Matt is the... Do it. Do it. So Matt and I wrote the business plan to the brewery in the patrol base in Afghanistan, and never gets any of the credit. We realized early on that someone had to stand up here and give the speeches, and someone actually had to do the work. We drew straws, of which there was only one. I drew the first one. He did the work. But thank you to the SBA. Thank you to our congressional delegation, our governor. Sir, thank you so much for being here. I think you just came back from TDY yesterday or the day before. It's an honor to have you here. So this is a great honor, not for me, but for the brewery. We'll leave it at that it's a great honor. Now that we've discussed what it is, let me tell you what it isn't. It isn't mine. It belongs to a lot of people and a lot of organizations, and it's not mine. I want to make that clear. We've mentioned Matt, but it begins with early on, then Major, now Brigadier General Knight. Let me just check my list here. I want to say their names: Colonel Justin Davis, Colonels Lennon Tracy Poirier, Colonel Jeremy Miller, and Lieutenant Colonel Matt Brown, who've been my bosses. So I'm an active duty Vermont Guard officer. Matt's on active duty in the Vermont Guard as well. And these officers, sir, you didn't have to allow me to start this business. You actually had the option, and you chose to allow me to do it as long as it didn't interfere with my military duties. And you said, strike that equilibrium, figure it out. But as long as you can do what you do here, you can do what you're going to do out there. So this award belongs to you as well. Speaking of equilibrium, I want to recognize the staff from 14 Star that's here. Andrea, Jill, Jackie, Dan. Am I missing anyone? Matt. Oh, sorry. and our other salesman, Dan. So the guy who actually sells the beer. Everyone who's making noise the first half of the ceremony, you're welcome. That's the guy. But they're the folks who actually do everything that I'm now getting recognized for. And I want to take a quick tangent real quick. We talked about starting a new business and taking that leap and taking the risk and creating new things for the state of Vermont. Not one of, our very first employee, Dan Sartwell, is here. We hired Dan in January of 2013. We opened in May of 12. And Dan, we started paying his paychecks out of our savings accounts. A true story. And we said, if we hire Dan, he'll make enough beer that we can sell to pay his salary. Well, that didn't work out for like the first month and a half. So, by the way, Nicole, we paid his first couple months out of our savings account. Don't worry about it. And we used our credit cards to buy the grain. But so Dan, at the end of the month, is leaving to start his own venture with a couple friends, a craft brewery in Essex, where he will bring more great beer to the Superior Beer Association, and create more jobs in Essex. So thank you, Dan, for what you do. I also want to say that this award belongs to not only the SBA, but the lenders that we work with, specifically People's United. If you're here, People's United. Yes, thank you, People's United. Because if we default on our loans, this award literally belongs to you. And you can probably get $70 on eBay for it, so. It also belongs to our fans in our community who have a tremendous choice of craft beer, but they know when they're drinking a 14 Star, they're getting a world-class craft beer, but there's so much more that comes along with that in terms of community and veteran service. It belongs to my parents, Gaston and Lee, sitting in the back. And my dad, who served our country for 36 years in uniform, and my mom, who served our community as an early educator for over 20 years. But I got to see growing up. But we got to see early growing up how dedication to something you're passionate about and effort really yields dividends. So thank you. And finally, I want to say something else that this award is not about. And I don't think this award is about the dollars and cents of the business and the financial sheets. There are many businesses in Vermont doing better than we are. I think several of them are here. And that's wonderful. But I think the award is about the dedication to community and in helping those. We have every right to keep every penny that we make, and we're very proud to not do so. At sometimes to Andrea's great stress and chagrin when she has to pay bills, but we've also spent a lot of money on charitable contributions. So I simply want to wrap up in saying that, one, we're very honored as a business. We're very honored. I'm personally very honored, but again, it's not mine. But we wanted to say thanks to the SBA. I want to say thanks, sir, to those in the Vermont Guard who allow me to continue to do, who allow Matt and I to continue to do what we do. And I want to say thank you to the other Vermont businesses. And I would challenge you, and Dan, I will challenge you as an emerging business owner, to look beyond just your profit and loss and your balance sheet. Find those things that you can champion in your own community, make it a better place. Find those who aren't doing that and tell them to follow me. Hold on. I'm sorry. I just realized I didn't thank my wife, Nicole, and my children. It was on my list, but I wake up very early in the morning, I do business work, I go to the Army job, I come home, I spend about 2 hours of family time, and then it's back to business. Nicole, I love you. Thank you so much. And kids, thank you for putting up with me.
All right, I would like to now just say thank everyone for coming and give a big round of applause for all of tonight's winners. Now, if we could have all of the winners gather, I believe, out on the patio. We'd like to do a group photo that will be up on the VBM website and maybe the SBA's website.
And we have boxes for the awards, so don't leave one.
There are boxes for the awards.